picking words is really important.
Hmm.
And being true to how you feel when you name and label is really important, but also like how low can you go and still feel true to yourself?
Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Today we're just talking about how to have fun in a crappy situation, how to make light of things when they're difficult. On our last episode, we were talking about this dark night of the soul. And I think that these go together really, really well because a lot of times in the dark night of the soul, you don't want to have fun because it all just feels not
Mhm.
good, sometimes icky, like what how did I get here? Like all the things. But we're just going to talk about how can you have fun even in the crap. So in case we haven't met, my name is Karen.
And my name is Ashley. And yeah, I agree with you. Because sometimes when you're in that funk, you don't even want to have fun. Like
Mhm.
it feels like it's not even possible to have fun.
Mhm.
And I think this is one thing too that we can really learn from kids. Like I'll have kids, whether I'm working at the school or like my own kids or whatever it is, and they'll come to me and like the world is ending. And actually
Yes.
one kid, it was a friend's kid, but at the school yesterday, he's like, "Oh, this kid broke my arm. He broke my bone."
Oh,
And he's like talking, he broke my bone. It hurts so much. And I'm like, you're you're talking, you're not crying. I think you're fine.
mhm. Yeah, I think you're okay.
And but yeah, I'll have like this kid like blowing up, like whether it's mine or someone else's, and like the world just ended, like something horrible happened, and like it cannot be rectified at all. And I'll be like, oh, what about this? And it's like, "Whoop, yep." And there is like they literally can snap their fingers and be off having the best time of their life. They go from the worst time to the best time in a matter of seconds. And I think that's something that we can really learn. Um, I know that my kids teach us that a lot. We will be waiting in line at like a restaurant or a lot of times when we go snowboarding and we're waiting in line, my youngest especially is just dancing, dancing and singing,
Mhm.
and he's just like always making it fun. And it's just like learning to do that, learning to figure it out. And um I have stressful situations with stressful people right now. And so it's like smiling at them. I always smile at my partner's ex, always. And I'm sure it drives her crazy, but it also just makes it not feel as like kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I know it bugs her, but I'm doing it just because I don't want to be lost in the animosity that
Mhm.
she gives off. And so it's my way of protecting my energy, or like she will, or her mother will insult me and stuff like that, and I'll just laugh. And or the one time she sarcastically was like, "Oh, you're so cute." And I'm like, "I am, thank you," you
Yeah.
know? And so it's like my energy over here is remaining completely untouched by yours. And so it's I'm choosing to have fun and I'm choosing to enjoy my life in that process. Um, and sometimes it's harder than others, and sometimes you have to release the emotion before you can really transmute it too. And that's a really hard line. So, um, when we had to send our kids back to their bio moms after they told us that there was physical and mental abuse, it was, I cried. I cried multiple times in like a 8 hour period. And I allowed myself that space because I knew I had to get that grief and that guilt out of my system and out of my body. And then after that, I started processing what happened and evaluating what happened. And then I started to actually work on changing my emotions. And so sometimes you have to go through that steps.
Yeah, and it is a step-by-step process too, because when we first realize, because really I feel like the first step is just noticing that you feel a certain way. We
Yeah.
kind of talked about this a little bit on our previous podcast. You really have to notice how you're feeling in order to, not how somebody else is feeling. This is something that we, or at least I know myself, can do. Sometimes I'll take someone else's emotion about a situation and I'll put it on myself. And I won't actually ask myself how I really feel about a situation, right? So the first thing you got to do is just notice how you feel.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong. right, wrong, good, bad, about expressing a feeling, right? As long as you're not hurting somebody
Yeah.
or going like crazy out like all over the place, right? Like have your time, tell people around you, hey, listen, I need to extract myself from this situation because I need to go have some me time.
Hmm.
I think that that is probably one of the most mature things a person could do is to be in a group of people and say, listen, guys, I'm actually feeling this right now and I need to extract myself so that I can come back and actually feel good.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like I think that that is so emotionally mature and that's emotional intelligence truly. When you can notice how you're feeling, you can extract yourself from the situation, you can experience that feeling and then you can allow it to go. So
Hmm.
that refractory period is your emotional intelligence, right? So how long do you allow yourself to stay in a certain emotion? So you were saying I knew I needed to pass through the grief. But then when I knew that I was done, it was time to evaluate and it was time to change how I felt.
Hmm.
That's your refractory period and that shows emotional intelligence for you to know, okay, I need to experience this. This is deep. This is
Hmm.
hard. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to navigate this. But then once you're done, you're done. Like
Hmm.
it's like, okay, this happened. All right. And I feel like I did this whenever I talked about this on the last podcast too, but I had a patient die on me like about a month ago, right? And um when I got home, I was kind of processing it and I knew I needed to process it on a deeper level. So I actually, like, when I got home, immediately went to my meditation room and really tried to sort through how I was feeling. Even though I kind of already knew how I was feeling, I wanted to sort through it on a really deep level. So when I came out of that meditation, I was like, oh, this is really what I was feeling. This is
Hmm.
really what was going on. And I was able to sort through it in a way that helped me move through it also, helped me
Hmm.
really understand how come I was feeling a certain way and then how I could move through that feeling as well. This is
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, right? And so going back to like making light of the situation, like I had to figure out a long time ago with anesthesia, how am I going to make this fun? Because I've been doing it for 10 years. And after about 1 year, I realized that I'd made a mistake.
Yeah.
So 9 years is a long time to be in a situation where you're like, this isn't really what I was made for. And I knew
Hmm.
that I wasn't made for it for a really long time. And so I started building a business and built a business really, really fast, but then realized, wait a minute, this isn't actually, first of all, I'm not sure if that I want to do this for the rest of my life. And then also, it kind of feels like a house of cards how I built this.
Hmm.
So I'm really not sure that this is what I want to do. And so I started to really search and be like, oh, I actually want to build my business online because I can see that there's more possibility with that, right? And so this is what brought me to my dark night of the soul because like once I got online, it was like I freaking struggled, right? And it didn't make any sense to a lot of my mentors even, right? But I had to figure out how to make my business fun and I had to figure out how to make the hospital fun
Hmm.
because both at a certain point, it was probably between 2018 and 2020 was really my dark night of the soul where things just were not, nothing was working. I didn't feel good. Nothing was going well. It was a mess, right? And what I finally started doing was meditating, but then I knew also because I was hearing it over and over again, people telling me, you need to have fun again. You're a fun person, but you are not having fun right now. And I knew the moment that I had stepped out of that experience when I had a friend tell me, Karen, you're different. And he was like, not in a bad way different, but you're different in that there's not an edge to you anymore. And I
Mm.
was like, oh, thanks. Okay. I've actually been working on that because it's really like, I need to get back to having fun. And so you were talking about how kids go back to that childlike fun really easily.
Yeah.
I would say that I on a regular basis want to have that childlike fun with anything and everything that I'm doing. And if I am not having fun, if I'm not joking around, then I'm taking life too seriously, right?
Mm.
Like, and I feel like we all can tend to walk into this, right? Where we just take life way too seriously.
Mhm.
So when I started having fun at the hospital and when I started having fun in my business is when I was like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, it doesn't matter anymore because I can enjoy what I'm doing no matter what.
Yeah.
I can hate it, but I can also go, wait a minute, what do I actually love about this? And how
Mhm.
could I actually have fun in this situation? And when you look at life like that, you don't really hate things anymore. It's kind of impossible because it's totally different frequency, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of like figuring out how do I have fun in this situation is really what saved me in a lot of ways. Because then, like, honestly, that's when I discovered TikTok too. And TikTok is like the pinnacle of fun when it comes to social media. So, but I even had to notice myself when I was with my business partners. I was getting sucked back into old habit patterns of not having fun and I was not feeling it, right? Like it was way too serious and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't want to be like this anymore. Like I'm not interested
Yeah.
in that feeling where it's like, oh, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. I don't want to look at that anymore. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in, oh, yeah, but where's the fun that we're having, right? Like, how can we focus on that first? And the truth of the matter is, when you're looking for the positive, you're going to find more positive. When you're looking for the negative, you're always going to find more negative. So if you're
Mhm.
looking for the fun, you're going to find more fun. You're going to
Yeah.
always find more fun. And this just brings new levels of ideas and thoughts of how you can start to behave in your business and those new behaviors create these new experiences, right? And so you have these new experiences because you're like, wait, I just started having fun, right?
Mhm.
Like it, and it's just it's a completely different world that you're living in when you do that.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think that's where, like, as kids, like, you're dancing, you're laughing, you're singing, you're being silly, and it's loud and it's out there, and then you're taught not to.
Right.
And that's one of the things I hate the most about school.
Mm,
And I'm one of the enforcers of this with my job. And it's like you have to sit still, you have to sit in your desk, you can't be goofing off. And I'm just like, we were not designed for this. Like our system, our school system is not designed for as young of children and as restrained as it is, like all of it. Like it's just, yeah, it's not helpful for our learning. So then as adults, that's how we're trained.
mm-hmm,
And you're used to feeling uncomfortable. You're used to forcing yourself to do the job. You're used to all those things. And you have to break that habit and
mm-hmm,
figure out how to enjoy your life through it all. And when things get really, really hard, like for me, on the Saturday, my mom was here, my partner was here. I could have gone and laid to bed and done nothing, you know, and milked my wounds and all of that. But I was like, no, if I do that past this point, I'm going to stay in this funk for far longer than I need to.
mm-hmm,
And so we got up and we went for a hike and we went and watched salmon and waterfalls and went out for sushi and did all these fun things. And so I find that too, like just getting out of the house,
mm-hmm,
is like the house can be a trap, especially for me working from home.
mm-hmm.
Like it's like, okay, we gotta get out, we gotta go do stuff. And so you have to figure out what it is for you that makes you tick. But it doesn't have to be crazy.
Right. Yeah. And I think that we think that if we get out of the house, it has to be something big and special. And no, you can just go outside and go for a walk, and that can be special enough for your system. And
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that could go out on a beautiful day and just not feel instantly better, because there's something about nature that changes how you feel. Now, I have seen the person that goes outside and they're like, oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's too this. Okay, right? Like, let's actually just look at the nature around us and take it all in. You can't be mad at nature, because nature, it's too wonderful to us.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's part of the fun too, is figuring out what makes you tick, because everybody's so different, right? So for me, I really am that I just want to go out and I want to go for a walk, right? Like that's all I need,
Yeah.
and I will be completely recharged again.
Mhm.
Some people are like, I want to go window shopping or whatever, like whatever works for you. Go play with your dog outside, like there's something about being out in nature, experiencing life, that brings back that fun to us all over again.
Yeah. And I think we take ourselves too seriously too. Like,
Mhm.
so I love messy, I love fun, all that kind of stuff. And so for my kids, for their birthdays, or sorry, for my daughter's birthday, she wanted to go paintballing. There's nowhere to paintball around.
Mm,
And so I, as an adult, saved all these eggs, and had like a big egg fight with a whole bunch of other adults like a decade ago. And then when I met Derek and his kids, I'm like, ooh, this would be even more fun for kids.
yeah.
And so we've been saving eggs for years. And I'm like, okay, we can't paintball, but let's do the egg fight for your birthday. And so she got on board. I bought a whole bunch of slime that's literally meant for fights and surprised her with that. And I had multiple parents afterwards be like, of course, like only you would do that, like only you. And I'm just like, but why? Like it was so much fun. Like I think I had more fun than most of the kids. And but they're like, oh, I couldn't handle the mess. I couldn't handle like this. And I'm like, yes, because we're so like trained that everything has to be just so.
Mhm,
And like just fucking who cares? Like,
mhm,
just have fun. And I think that's like the biggest thing is just like it doesn't matter. Um, I went to Costco with my kids, and that's why I think kids are such a great tool. And so me and my daughter were standing waiting because there's like that trick. I don't know if you know the trick where you can get like all the frozen stuff, so it's like way cheaper. So you're standing,
no.
yeah. So
What's
like,
the trick you need to
so
tell us?
you can get like all a big massive box of bagels
Mhm.
that are frozen for $20.
Okay. I mean, I don't
And
I don't buy bagels, and I don't buy a lot of frozen stuff. So this might not be for me, but how do you do this?
you just go stand at the bakery area.
Mm,
And
okay.
so like if you buy a bag of bagels, it's $8. And I think you get six. Or you buy a box of bagels and I don't know, I think there's like 46 bagels and you pay $20. So you're
Okay.
paying more than $1 per bagel in the bags. And I think it's like 20 some cents that you're paying per bagel when you buy them frozen. And so I'm not a big bagel eater, but for my kids' lunches and all that kind of stuff, like
Mhm.
bagels are a lot for the boys, like Atticus especially. He can eat like insane amounts of food. And
Mm,
so I'm like packing him 4 lunches. But
mhm,
bagels are so dense that he doesn't have to eat as much. And like Knox doesn't eat very fast, so then he's getting a lot of dense stuff in his belly. So it works out really well for that. But um so anyways, we're standing there waiting and she's like, "Oh, there's the boys." And so we just start like silly dancing. And it was like a joke like maybe if we silly dance they'll be too embarrassed to come over here.
yeah,
And so we start dancing like idiots. And then instead of them being like, "Ooh, you're embarrassing," they all start dancing back.
that's
As they
awesome.
walk to us. And then we were trying to buy like the big giant skeleton, and me and the kids want it. And Derek's like, "Oh no, it's too much money. We're like Halloween's so far away. Like we don't need to spend that much money right now." So me and the kids kept on trying to like lose him in Costco and then sneak around, like literally like hide. And we kept trying to get to the skeleton. and buy it without him noticing. And like of course, like he kind of noticed because it's kids. But like we had so much fucking fun, and it's being silly and not caring what people think. And yeah, so we made an hour-long grocery trip that I hate shopping. And grocery shopping is the worst because then you have to come home and put it away. Like I
Yeah.
just don't like any of it. But we had a blast because we were
Yeah.
idiots.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And that's really what it's all about. And we make things, I know I have in the past, make things such a drudgery just by how we feel, right?
yeah,
Like this is the thing that I really, if you want a hint on how to have a good life, figure out how to make every single thing, every single task fun. If
yeah,
you can figure that out, then you will not ever have a boring life and you will not ever hate anything in your life
yeah,
because it's just all going to be fun.
yeah,
And I think that, like you said, schools are a big reason how come our culture really doesn't support this, is because as kids, we're told that we have to sit still, we have to pay attention, we have to be quiet. I'm a freaking loud person. Anybody that's been around me for any amount of time knows how loud I am.
yeah,
There's very few people that feel comfortable with my amount of loudness. There are some people that are like, Karen, you need to be quiet. And I'm like, why? Why? What does it matter? But most people feel uncomfortable with it because it was trained so young that this is how we have to be when we are inside, when we're in school, when we're at work, whatever.
yeah,
And I'm here to just be like, nah, I just want to have fun. I'm sorry if it bothers other people. That's not my concern. I'm just here for the fun. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to consider you. No, I'm not going to sit here and scream in your ear. No. But like, I'm not hurting anybody on purpose, right? I'm not focused on, oh my God, I'm going to be so loud just so that it hurts you, right? No, I'm just literally having such a good time that it doesn't like even phase me. I can't tell you how many times at work a day people will be like, Karen, you need to quiet down. And I'm like, why?
yeah,
What does it matter? At work, we used to have this, it was like a little stoplight for like if you were in elementary school. And I thought it was funny. So basically, this stoplight would be red, orange, yellow, right? And or red, orange, green. And
yeah,
if it was green, then that meant that the sound was good, right? It wasn't too loud. But if it started to get to red, then it was too loud, right? So they put this in the nurses area where, because it's like in the pre-op area, it's just this one big room basically, and
yeah,
then in the center is the nurses station. So they put this in the center where the nurses station are, where all of us congregate. And hello, I'm the one that would always set it off, no question. And people would be like, Karen, you gotta chill out. I'm like, listen, if people don't want to have fun, that's on them. I don't know what to tell you. I'm having a good time.
sure, yeah.
But I feel
Well,
like
and
we need
that's
that.
that's the big thing is that people can always take offense to all of it. And like I said at the beginning, like I smile at my partner's ex and she probably hates it, but she doesn't have to, you
Mm-mm.
know?
No.
That's not my choice for her. That's her
Mm-mm.
choice. And maybe if she smiled back, her animosity would calm a little bit too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And um yeah, so like and that's the hard part is when you have someone that's not happy, you can't do anything to
Mm-mm.
make it better. When we went to court, I said, I talk to you like I talk to my best friend. Like, I do not talk to you rude. I talk to you kind. And um, where and this is rude. And she's like, oh, I just know you. And it's like, no, you know your animosity towards me. Like you don't know me, you know your feelings. And you're thinking that I feel about you the same way that you feel about me. And while yes, I despise the way you treat the kids, I have that as a separate thing. Like I don't feel anything to her as a person. And when I'm texting her, I'm trying to text for the best interest of the kids. Like there's no animosity there. And so that's where, like, with your workers, like, they're feeling like they are like not allowed to be loud, so
Mhm.
you can't be loud.
Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah, even Derek will make fun of me all the time because I laugh so loud, so loud. He's
Same.
like, "Oh my God." He's like, "That is such a loud laugh." Like
Oh,
everyone
he's gonna have
hears
a
it.
hard time when he meets me.
And I'm just like, but it's so funny. Why would I restrain myself? Like, if I want to laugh with my whole body and so loudly, why would I not? Like,
Exactly. Why
yeah.
not
And
snort
so,
laugh? Like, who
oh, I
cares?
do. I do. And yeah, what is it? Yeah, snort, is that the word, or is there another word where you're like,
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyways, like he'll make fun of me so much for my laugh, and like he really enjoys it. But it's just like for people that aren't used to it, like you're not used to joy.
Hmm.
And so you're taking your own feelings and perpetuating them onto someone else. And it's just like, why? Like,
Yeah, we don't need to do that. No,
no,
not
just
at
choose
all.
to be happy. Like I'm going to be the weirdo that's dancing in the middle of the street laughing hysterically. And if people want to think I'm crazy or assign some weirdness to it that has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with my feelings, like so be it, you know? Like, yeah, I've had people love me then hate me my entire life. They go from thinking I'm the best thing in the world to thinking I'm the worst. It has nothing to do with me. I haven't
Mm-mm.
changed. It
Yeah,
has to do with them and how they feel about themselves. And so
absolutely.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to change my crazy to try to keep people here because it has nothing to do with me. So I'm going to keep being my crazy person. So,
Yeah, no, the same. Like at the end of the day, I learned this a long time ago too that if I'm just being me and I have my best, I have the best interests, like I'm not trying to harm anybody, I'm not like doing anything out of animosity, I'm just enjoying the moment, then why would I restrain myself? Why would I stop just because somebody else is uncomfortable with it? I think that all too often we really do stop ourselves from doing things that we enjoy because we're so worried about what other people are going to think. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're not living your life. You're the one in your shoes. So you can choose to be worried about what they're going to think and all the feelings that go along with that because every single thought you think puts a feeling in your body. And you can
yeah.
like that feeling or you cannot like that feeling.
Mhm.
I love the feeling of laughing stupidly, right? Like I don't even know what I'm laughing about, but I am having a good time, right? I love that feeling.
Mhm.
I don't love the feeling of feeling self-conscious
Mhm.
at all. No, I don't want to do that. So whenever I notice myself start to feel subconscious or self-conscious, that's when I'm like, wait a minute, I want to have fun. And
Well, I kind
so,
of need to do something crazy.
yeah, exactly. That's the time to do something crazy. But that's honestly what helped me figure out how to do public speaking
Mhm.
because like public speaking used to scare the shit out of me, right? Until one day I was like, why is this so scary? Why
Yeah.
can't I just have fun with this?
Mhm.
And I had the best professor in college that just allowed us to talk about what we wanted to talk about. And he
Mhm.
didn't tell us what we had to talk about.
Yeah.
And I decided, because I played volleyball in college, I decided to teach the whole class how to play volleyball. So I just had fun with it. And from that speech forward, I will never forget it. I was not uncomfortable in front of the classroom. I was having a good time, and everybody else around me was also having a good time because I
Yeah.
made them get up and I was like, okay, this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it. And then I taught them like the reasons how come and like how your form looks and the whole deal. Like, and I went all into it, and I had such a good time. My classmates were laughing. Like we had a great time. And from that moment on, I went, this doesn't have to be hard at all. And
Yeah.
so, and I look at, I was just at I've said this before, and I've said this recently, but I was at the Dr. Joe NCS training in July, and we had to do a 2-3 minute presentation in front of him, which isn't very long, but there were people that were like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die," and I was like, I choose not to feel like that. I choose to feel like this is gonna be fun and that I'm gonna enjoy the moment, and that's exactly what came out. And so we can choose at any one time, like if we want to feel a certain situation as this is going to be hard, this is going to be difficult, then yeah, we're allowed to feel that way. But
Mhm.
who wants to? I don't.
Mhm.
I'm not interested. And I've started to really catch myself when I hear myself say that certain things are going to be hard or difficult or whatever. Um, I catch myself because a lot of times in my brain that means that it's going to be a drudgery. And I know that because I've noticed when I use that word, how does it make me feel? Well, it
Mhm.
doesn't always make me feel good. So hold on, let me pause and let's use a different word there.
Yeah.
Because a different word can cause me to have a different feeling at the end of the day, too. The word doesn't really matter, the feeling is what matters.
Yeah.
So I could say something's difficult, but I could also say it in a difficult, challenging, like, oh, this is going to make me feel good when I'm done, right? Like I did that kind of way. There's a
Yeah.
difference too. And it's always about monitoring, yes, what are the words you're saying, but more than anything, how do you feel when you say something?
Yeah.
So, or how do you feel when you think something?
Mhm.
Like at the end of the day, like I said already, if you want to have a good life, figure out how to have fun no matter what you're doing.
Mhm.
And this can sometimes be difficult too for me. This is where I get tripped up sometimes. Um, when I have a lot going on and I'm under like time constraints, right? I could love something that I'm doing, but because of the time constraint, I'm feeling really like rushed and like I gotta just get it done. I gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. And so I'm now no longer enjoying it. I'm actually in a state of impatience and feeling like, when will this be done, right? And I know that when I do that, I feel exhausted at the end of the day. I
Mhm.
always monitor myself at the end of the day. How do I feel after
Yeah.
this day? And if I feel good when I put my head on the pillow, like feel good in that I'm not completely wiped and exhausted, I had a good day, right? I feel good in that, okay, I can go to sleep and I know I'm going to sleep good tonight. But if I feel like so wound up or completely exhausted, I know that I missed the mark somehow. And so
Mhm.
that's when I have to look at my day and go, okay, where did I miss? What was going on in my thoughts that made me get here? And I
Mhm.
really had to do this with the hospital too, because this was hard for me to figure out. This was very difficult for me to navigate. But now I can come back from the hospital and not feel completely wiped because I do this.
Yeah.
So when I'm at the hospital, I'm constantly monitoring my thoughts and my feelings on a second by second basis to
Mhm.
just to make sure that I'm not stepping into a state of internal complaining, because a lot of times I don't necessarily let my complaints come externally, but I could have this internal complaint going on and on in my head. I don't
Mhm.
need to do that. That's exhausting. I'm using my energy in a very low level way.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not right, wrong, good, bad. It's just that I know that at the end of the day, I'm going to feel so tired and so exhausted. So I
Mhm.
would much rather figure out in those moments when I'm noticing that internal complaint or that internal dialogue that's negative, I would
Mhm.
so much rather ask myself, okay, wait, how can I have fun in this situation? I'm gonna go joke with my coworker right now because why wouldn't I? So really figuring out how can you turn around a situation and really experience all the fun that life has, because really we did not come here to not have fun.
Mhm.
We didn't. Well, I didn't. I know I didn't. I'm here because I want
Mhm.
to enjoy my life and I want to have fun. And
Yeah.
so I know that I can easily create that by my thoughts and my feelings at all time and really noticing those at all times.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing I think that we've talked about many times is that we can have fun no matter what is going on in our life. Like what's going on with my life in all aspects, like my kids, my work, everything, it's intense.
Mhm.
But I'm having fun. I'm finding
Yeah.
ways to enjoy the whole process. And am I having fun in every moment? No. But I'm learning to, and I'm getting
Yeah.
better at it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work towards that. And one of the things, like as you were talking about like feelings and like what feeling am I going to put toward this, and like kind of I think you kind of mentioned like take like loathe to dislike, like try to have it a less negative, a less um emotion driving word, like I loathe doing that. I am uncomfortable doing that. It completely, like, the words you choose really matter. And that's where like having like a feelings dictionary is really great
Mm-hmm.
for adults. This is something that I'm going to be working with my kids too, because they like to have the same three feeling words for everything. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh, there's more.
they're like, oh, it hurts so bad. I'm like, it's uncomfortable.
Mm.
Like, we're gardening. I understand it's uncomfortable. Or my son was learning to hoverboard, and I told him to engage his core. And he's like, oh my gosh, that's so painful. And I'm like, or it's uncomfortable. And
It's
so, like,
uncomfortable.
picking words is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And being true to how you feel when you name and label is really important, but also like how low can you go and still feel true to yourself?
Yeah.
Like if you could say loathe, you could say hate, you could say don't like. So like which one can you say and it still feel like even just slightly true? Pick the one that feels just slightly true, but it has the least amount of emotional charge to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and for me, it's really about like, how do I change that? Do I want to keep feeling like this is,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
loathe this, or do I want to actually move in a different direction with it? So,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, so this was a good chat, but friends, I think we're gonna wrap this up for today. So if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts were, and go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you along for the ride. And then if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast host, go ahead, give us a 5 star, leave us a comment as well. We'd love to hear from you. But we will see everyone next time on TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Thanks so much for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue hanging out with us, and don't forget to subscribe.